What is the future of software engineering? I hear this talked about so many places, from CEOs to software engineers talking about, in a few years, AI is going to be taking our jobs and we won't be needed. And we've heard how CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg have said that, with AI, there might not be any mid-level software engineers anymore. Is that the case? Is that the case? Well, today I want to go through an article that highlights and outlines what this writer thinks the future of software engineering is, and I will offer some feedback and commentary as we go through this, because it can be very, very scary. It can be scary if you do not know what's happening and if you don't know how to move, how to adjust. So I think it is very important that we address the topic on what is the future of software engineering, and I can share my thoughts and my perspective along the way. All right. With that being said, let me be the first to welcome you to another episode of The Bug Bite, hosted by your truly tech coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. Let's jump into this article to talk about the future of software engineering. So this article is brought to us by leaddev.com. It says, how will AI change software engineering? It says, no one can agree how AI will change software engineering. However, here's how to prepare anyways. This was written by Carrie McMahon. Let's see what Carrie has to say. Let's see what Carrie's thoughts are, right? Okay. So it says the consensus about the future of software engineering industry is that there is no consensus. Bruh. That's thanks to the rapid emergence of generative AI, a type of artificial intelligence that creates new content through large language models, LLMs, which we go through. We're learning that in depth on our morning shows. So I'd highly recommend that you tune in to our morning shows on Mondays and Wednesdays, starting around 7:45, 8 a.m. as we're learning large language models. We've been working on it since the beginning of the year. It is totally awesome, the way that we are integrating with different LLMs like OpenAI. We've used OpenAI, we've used Gemini, we've used Claude Anthropic, we've used Perplexity, and I use it for every single video that you see me release, including this one that you're watching. I am using an aspect of AI, large language models, that I've built myself in order to help generate my descriptions, to generate my thumbnails, my titles, my keywords, all of that. I have a process in place that helps me run through this a lot faster than if I had to do all of this stuff manually. All right. So very, very important. It says, thanks to the rapid emergence of generative AI, a type of artificial intelligence that creates new content through large language models, which seek to replicate and scale the learning process of the human brain, right? Generative AI, which had its breakout moment in late 2022 with the emergence of OpenAI's ChatGPT, has made an immediate impact on the craft of software engineering, setting off a tidal wave of bold predictions about where the industry is headed. And I remember when I was at work, and I had no idea. People were saying, ChatGPT. And I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. And they were making such a big hype about what it could do. And then once I started using it, I'm like, okay, wow, this is the real deal. Okay. It says, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has predicted that 2025 will be the year when it becomes possible to build an AI agent with coding and problem-solving abilities equivalent to a mid-level engineer, while Microsoft Chief Technology Officer Kevin Scott believes that 95% of code will be AI generated in the next 5 years. Yet, beyond the C-suite, technology leaders who are observing the rollout of AI within the industry are approaching the topic with less certainty. So let me break it down like this, because we started reading this on one of the shows, but this was a lot longer than to do on a live show. So I wanted to break this down. If you think of what Mark Zuckerberg is saying and what Microsoft's Chief Technology Officer Kevin Scott is saying, what he believes, is that in software engineering practices, all the code is going to be written by AI. Well, they do have some vested interest in saying that. Meta has their own AI. Microsoft, they are closely intertwined with OpenAI and probably getting their own AI as well. So they need to sell their product. Let me see something right. Who owns GitHub? Microsoft owns GitHub. Imagine that, right? So if GitHub has Copilot integrated in it, of course they want to sell their, like they want you to buy Copilot. They want you to buy whatever Meta is offering and stuff like that. So the high C-suite executives, they have to market their software. All right. So I think when it gets down to the nitty gritty though, to the people who are actually on the foreground who use this to generate code, we're going to get a much better insight. All right. So does anybody who claims to have any confidence about where AI is going to be more than a year or two out, the more confident they claim to be, the less you should believe them, said Charity Majors, co-founder of the observability platform Honeycomb. There's so much hype, she said. Honestly, if you zoom out a little bit, so much of AI you could just replace with automation. That is very true, because I have been a QA automation engineer for the past almost 14 years, and I see exactly what they're saying. And for me, my automation knowledge helps me use AI so much better. Now, I'm gonna say this though. I have seen AI do amazing things, from generating stories, from if you guys remember, like text to speech. That used to be, it was horrendous. But now using tools like 11 Labs, where you can't even tell this is AI speaking because it speaks so clearly. So I see how AI is disrupting the industry. However, I'm not sure where that's going to come in with the whole software engineering. I know for a fact though, it is going to be a major help to software, because I'm telling you, I'll be working with software engineers and I see them. They are heavily using these large language models, these tools to research and get information on how to actually do the work that they need to do better and more efficiently. But to say like, hey, AI, I need you to go and build this whole thing out for me, and it's just going to be able to do it perfectly. That's where a little bit of my skepticism comes in. All right, so let's continue. Joel Greensight, Vice President of Technology at digital consulting firm Publicis Sapient, has stopped making predictions altogether because developments and existing predictions are happening at a much faster rate than he anticipated. It's just a highly uncertain time, says Matt Bean, assistant professor at University of California, Santa Barbara, and author of The Skill Code. Anybody who says that they have a very firm, confident prediction about what skills are safe, what the software job of the future is going to look like, you might get there. All right, let me see. It says, anybody who says they have a very firm, confident prediction about what skills are safe, what the software job of the future is going to look like, how you might get there, what junior people should do, all of these things, they're selling something. That is 100% fact. Everything, and then if you look on YouTube, they'll tell you, okay, here's how, and they do this on YouTube all the time. Here is how you can make money using AI, but then they say you have to go sign up for it, and they say this is not only how you can make money. You can make $5,000 a day.
Money.
All you have to do is sign up for these 5 different services, enter my promo code, because this is definitely what I do myself, and that's how I make so much money per day, putting up these videos here or trading something here, all this type of stuff, right? And it's just the cycle repeats itself. And then now they get all their affiliate fees, and you're paying a bunch of money per year or per month, and they are selling something. Now, I'm not telling you shouldn't try them because you would be acquiring a new skill and stuff like that. But if you think that just on day one, you just follow a little YouTube tutorial and then you're going to start making $5,000 a day, my question always is, then why aren't you just doing it yourself? Why are you sharing it? That's me. That's just me, right? Anyways. Let's continue. It says, I mean, no one has that data to be that confident. Exactly. I agree 100% with that. All right. It says, lines and lines of code. Generative AI's biggest impact so far has been in the domain of code generation and content creation, forcing white collar workers and creatives to feel the most threatened. So I definitely agree with the creatives feeling the most threatened. I say white collar workers depending on the type of white collar worker that you are, right? I don't know about the code generation as a whole, but I have seen that you can use, and I have used it myself, you can use AI to generate stories. Like, you know, if you're working on a project to generate, all right, this, you just give it the general idea and this is what it needs to do. And then it generates the story, the acceptance criteria. You can say, hey, write it in a BDD format, and it should be able to do that for you as well. Generate that, and then you know, generate your acceptance criteria, your definition of done. You can specify it to the way that you want to see. So I do see some areas being threatened, right? As code generation has become so powerful that even those without technical skills are vibe coding, developing entire applications through AI prompts. Several startups founders have been telling Denny Gabriel, a venture investor at Runa Capital, that they are able to output code with up to 65% less headcount. I can see that happening, but I do think that the code is going to be pretty bad, at least for now. It's going to be pretty bad, at least for now, based on the type of output that I've seen. This echoes recent sentiments shared by Y Combinator's CEO Gary Tan, who said a quarter of its latest cohort of startups were launching with 95% AI written code. I really want to see the type of, I want to see what it's being used for in the production. I wish I could find out a little bit more details about that. While code generation can be helpful to startups who want to move fast and break things, yeah, the applications often stumble when facing real world demand and scale. I agree with that, said Alex Pato, an analytics engineer for venture firm Inflection. This is what Google engineer Andy Osmani calls the 70% problem. Holly Cummins, senior principal software engineer at open source software company Red Hat, recognized that when building a Quarkus demo application using AI prompts, I looked at the code and realized that 80% of the code was not necessary. Bruh. We tend to spend a lot more time reading a code base than writing a code base. If I produce loads of flab in my AI generated code, then I've reduced the cost of generating it, but I've increased the cost to the rest of the team reading this code.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Organizations are now on the receiving end of unprecedented influx of software of unknown origins as a result of engineering tinkering with code generation. Major said. Google's 2024 Dora Report demonstrated that this displacement of productivity, noting that AI does not appear to be a panacea. While developers are being more productive with code generation, it's starting to have a negative impact on software delivery throughput and stability with larger and less manageable changes. Endora's statistical evaluation of responses from over 39,000 software engineering professionals, there's an estimated 1.5 reduction in throughput and 7.2 reduction in delivery stability for 25% increase in AI adoption, a marked change from prior reports which showed improvement in software delivery. So understand this. They're saying that although more code is being output and generated with AI, it's less quality, it's more to read, it's more flaky. And here, at the end of the day, here's what really matters the most. You can generate millions and millions of lines of code, right? But if the users have a terrible experience, if it's slow, if it's clunky, if they can't use it, then what's the purpose? What is the purpose? At the end of the day, it's, are you adding value to your end users? And if the answer is no, your million lines of code mean absolutely nothing.
Ain't believing us.
So that's why the quality of the code, the quality of the software is very, very important. I want to say that back in the days, people might have been judged on how many lines of code that they wrote. But in today's day and age, we're looking to see how can we write the least code as possible with the most impact as possible. All right. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. All right. It says more like, all right. So let's see. So generative AI, the new junior developer. As generative AI tools move up the stack, senior engineers will get more of the benefit than juniors, said Martin Reynolds, Field Chief Technology Officer at AI-powered software delivery platform Harness. By removing the mundane parts of the job, more experienced engineers can focus on solving complex problems. I agree with that. And the thing is, with more senior engineers, like with a more experienced engineer using it, they're able to see, okay, what's necessary, what's not necessary, able to parse through the fluff and keep only the things that are necessary, right? So it's like they're kind of doing a code review on the AI generated code and then using what they need, right? But the problem is, with more junior engineers, they're more inclined to just copy and paste and not exactly know what they're doing, and then you get a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of mess, and it's just right. So that's why I do think that it is very, very important. It's imperative that junior engineers take the time to learn the proper software engineering principles and not just use the just code output it, and then now you price your, like, if you're going to use AI to do all of your code, then you're saying that you're not needed. Right. And I think that it is so important to learn the concepts and the precepts of software engineering. Right. Because as a result, many pathways for junior engineers to enter the workforce and learn on the job are being closed off. Some firms are looking to hire only senior developers, researcher Bean said. For example, Salesforce has said it may not hire any engineers this year due to AI productivity gains. Hiring activity for software developers fell at a slightly greater rate relative to other tech positions during the past 2 years, from January 2023 through December 2024, and has been slower to rebound at the start of this year, according to data analysts from trade associations CompTIA. And I agree with that. However, that's not the end. That is not the end. I think there are other strategies that you can also use in order to protect yourself. All right. It says the data also points to a slight shift toward companies recruiting more experienced software engineers, the firm said, while also noting that it's still early and these trends tend to play out over much longer time periods. So, and that's true. There are cycles, and the shiny new object AI, people, let's use AI and see how that works. But then the same way people thought, and even companies thought, that, we do not ever need to bring people back into the office. A couple of years later, we want everybody in the office, or either you're in the office or you're out. That's how a lot of companies are operating nowadays. So I think all of this stuff is cyclical. So we shall see. It says, it's almost a false economy because you have to look beyond the 1 year, the 1 year into the 3 and the 5 and the 5 years, and say, how does this become sustainable? Reynolds said, if everybody takes this route, how expensive are those top line resources going to get? Exactly. It's all about the money at the end of the day. And will you be able to maintain your business, and will it be successful? And although more senior engineers can use these tools probably more productively, senior engineers cost more, and there's only so many of them to go around, and how much, even using these tools, how much can they actually produce? How much can you actually code review? How much can you actually deploy? So I do not see this wiping out mid-level to junior engineers. Senior developers are also becoming more reluctant to oversee juniors when working on complicated tasks because of the availability of AI tools, said Bean, based on conversations with engineers through his research. A field study at 3 Fortune 100 companies found a 26% increase in completed tasks amongst developers using AI tools, noting that less experienced developers had higher adoption rates and greater productivity gains. However, Frank Liscia, Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Howdy.com, that sounds like a pretty interesting website, highlights how this can create an imbalance where code is produced faster than it can be reviewed and integrated, as senior developers aren't experiencing the same level of productivity gains. This is an apprenticeship industry, Major said. The goal is for the team to be productive, not the individual. I didn't think about that. You have to see your team as a system, she said. You have to pay attention to that system. I think that it's very short-sighted to just be like, we're going to get the most senior people we can get for the least amount of money. I agree. That is a bad way to look at it. Junior developers should take control of their learning and ask tools like Gemini and ChatGPT to explain the reason behind the prompt responses and not accept it at face value, says Reynolds. I agree with that 100%. See, for me, I'm always looking to get an explanation. Like when I'm trying to, if I'm just trying to generate some metadata for my videos, I don't care about all that details. However, if I'm trying to figure something out, I've been doing tons of research the past couple of days to using Amazon's Elastic Container Service and turning a Docker Compose file into a task on a cluster, and it's been a mess. But I've learned so much, and it's so valuable. If it was just a generator for me, I'm just all right, go and do this. It would not feel the same. All right, so I agree with what they're saying. Okay, as roles reimagined. Developers at all levels will need to adjust their skill set to some extent to stay relevant, as roles will be redefined rather than replaced. The ability to think critically and communicate effectively will become even more crucial when prompting a fleet of AI assistants, says Sabrina Farmer, Chief Technology Officer at GitLab, in an email. Peter Morales, CEO of edge computing platform CodeMetal, expects there to be more of a shift towards system engineering and high-level architecture design, while Farmer sees data engineering expertise as the next big boom. The ability to manage, process, protect, and deliver high-quality data is becoming even more crucial because it's backbone of AI development. She said, protection of data is so much more critical in an AI world. And I'll say this, right? I agree with this, and I'll say this. I will say this. What we have to also understand is that jobs evolve. And that's why you see me on this channel. My bread and butter is always QA, but I dedicate every Sunday afternoon to DevOps, 2 hours a week to learning DevOps and using these different tools, learning Kubernetes, learning Docker, learning Terraform. We're going to be learning Ansible. We're going to be learning Packer and whatever else is on our list, right? And we're learning on different platforms. So I have no problem doing that. We dedicate 2 hours on Thursday nights to learning ethical hacking. We dedicate 2 hours a week, on about an hour on Monday, about an hour on Wednesday, to learning large language models, prompt engineering, AI, because all of these things come together. Someone the other day says, I would like you to talk about how cybersecurity, ethical hacking, penetration testing, and large language models, AI, how those two can blend to help do a better job to help figure this stuff out better, right? We did a bug bite the other day on how hackers are becoming more, the barrier to entry is a lot lower for the hacker as well as for the ethical hacker to be able to get into the industry, right? So all these things, they run together. So we have to be able to adapt and evolve, all right? As developers will need to extend their logical mindset towards sophisticated and targeted prompt engineering. I've been saying that for a while, said Reynolds, highlighting that there can be hundreds of lines of prompts to create a simple AI service, such as a Siri request to play a song from a specific playlist. Facts. Plus, AI doesn't always give you the right answer. That's what a lot of people miss. So persistently challenging and refining prompts often yields significantly better results, Farmer said. Now, and I see some people that they use AI for the most basic stuff, which I'm not really afraid of that giving you the right or wrong answer. But if we think that we're going to be using AI predominantly when we're talking about developing new drugs, for building building the software for cars and for like national security and stuff like that, look, there needs to be multiple layers of oversight on that, because one wrong line of code and kaboom, right? It says knowing programming languages and deep understanding of complex systems will never not be an asset, Major said. But in order to make the most of the asset, you have to skate where the puck is going. What about that?
Message.
Move fast and break things. Do not threaten me with a good time. The challenge is that the puck could be moving too fast. The industry is in the midst of real discontinuity. Being said, the change from 2022 to late 2024 is going to seem like a warm-up act compared to what will be experienced from now through the next year and a half, he said. An example of this is the SWE benchmark. Joe Kim, CEO of the analytics company Sumo Logic, said, the benchmark tests whether large language models can solve real engineering problems on GitHub. A year ago, the accuracy of these models were in the single digits. Now the accuracy comfortably sits in double digits for leading models, which Kim notes as demonstrating the rate of change. That is true. Good point. Different large language models can talk, argue, and reason with one another with increasing accuracy, Kim said. If you guys were watching the show the other day in the morning, we had these two different bots, for lack of a better term, one from OpenAI and one from Cloud Anthropic. They were going back and forth arguing with each other. Imagine that. Says his company showed off this capability during the recent AWS reInvent conference, where an engineer could kick off a conversation with multiple site reliability engineering AI agents who work together. Despite the level of accuracy, some human interaction will still be needed because their responses were non-deterministic, but it's likely that jobs will have to adjust as the technology becomes more sophisticated. He said, roles, even understanding what the work is and how it's organized in firms is up for far more disruption in the near 365 days than it was in the last 365 days. Being said, it's important for individuals and firms to have a plan that is useful if it turns out to be true. The problem is that most people don't have a plan beyond platitudes. That's a fact. Such as keep experimenting or playing with tools. Bean expects that CEOs will have to get to grips with the fact that humans won't be able to flex fast enough, and they will need to manage the fact that their core production function becomes a live wire in the company. So, the most important part, how to stand out in this landscape. Both Bean and Kim agree that creativity and initiative will help developers, especially juniors, stand out in this landscape, but they also acknowledge that it's on companies to allow that creativity to thrive. And I'll say this is where I disagree. While it's helpful for the companies to allow the creativity to thrive, I don't think that there is any developer, especially junior developer, who should not cultivate that creativity on their own. I have built so much different stuff on this channel and off this channel just to help me streamline and learn and be creative and stuff like that. The number one question, while getting a job, working for a company, it's how you're going to grow, it's how you're going to learn, it's how you're going to put in those reps. But my mentality is always, as you are learning, you are building, and you are saying, okay, what is the need out there? What is the problem that needs to be solved? And looking for a way to solve that. Simple as that. Look to solve a problem. And from there, you can grow your customer base and you can start building your own service as a software platform. Why in tandem with working a job. And if you don't have a job yet, you can use, I don't like projects. I like applications. Put it out there. I've been preaching this since I've been on YouTube. Put it out there. And once you have it out there, get users, market it, get feedback, and build and iterate upon that. And then you use that software that you built, that you have real feedback from, to help you land a job in a company, to be able to get more around those technologies that you're not familiar with, to get more around more experienced developers and architects and QA, so that you can You have to use every avenue at your disposal. So the developers, what you're learning from them, you use that for your own thing, that knowledge for your own thing. And then what you learn on your own, you bring that into the workplace and you continue to level up and grow in that motion. It's all one big circle. All right. Let's see. So I almost look at it as, especially a software engineer, like it's amazing time to be alive right now. I agree. Kim said, there's so many opportunities that the vehicle can bring. The rate of change is part of the reason that Publicis Sapiens Green site is reluctant to make any predictions. In the short term, he's confident that there will be better tooling for software development professionals, but in the medium to long term, he questions whether developers will even touch code. Wow. Wowzers, right? It says, natural language may become a new programming language, he said, where developers simply specify what they need and don't need to touch programming languages like Python. Not dissimilar to how the industry has very few people writing assembly or configuring cloud infrastructure these days. In this new world, developers will have more time to be creative and to experiment to solve client or business problems, he said. For example, products always have to make compromises, and now they won't, because the technology unlocks the ability to cater applications to individuals through increased resources and capabilities. I don't subscribe to the idea that we're never going to write code again, but I do think the shape of what code is and will change, Greenside said. That makes sense. I kind of agree. I can kind of agree with that. I can't tell you exactly what that'll be, but only that the outcome will probably be that we'll work on much more interesting things. Interesting. All right. So that is it. That is our article for today. Let's go back to full screen. And let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that software engineers will be totally wiped out, or will they need to adjust their roles? Do they have a place? It is a very, very sensitive topic, right? I don't think that they're going to be wiped out. I think, though, as I've always said, you need to adjust and add to your toolbox, add to your arsenal, add to your repertoire. You need to make all of those adjustments so that you can continue to be ahead of your competition. And who's your competition? Well, wherever you are right now, look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you, look behind you, and say, okay, don't say this, but think it. You are my competition, and I am going to outwork you. And that's you go out there and do it. All right. Anyways, that's it for today. To talk about a 9-minute read turned into a whole over 30-minute video. Anyways, that's it for today. Do me a big favor on your way out. If you haven't done this already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live and drop new content. As well, go to techcoachruff.dev. Sign up for exclusive content. I'm going to be releasing videos about how to prepare for interviews, how like the different tools that you can use, how to answer questions in interviews, how to ask questions in interviews, how to have videos already on how to use your calendar to level up to make you more efficient so that people don't waste your time and so that you don't waste your time. So many great things. Also, you can join the Tech Coach Rob Discord once you sign up for the Tech Coach Rob Patreon at techcoachrob.dev. Don't wait. Sign up today. Let's run it up together.
Let's get it.
All right, but with that being said, I am out of here. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Tech Coach Ralph, we are out.
Caught in a glitch. What's the fix this time? Chasing down bugs. Oh, it feels like a crime. Every software tale got a story to tell. In the world of tech, it's a digital swell. Watch us dive deep in lines of code, finding the truth on this heavy load. Welcome to the bot fight, we unveil the fight. In a world of software, we'll shine the light. From errors to dangers, we'll guide your way. Stay tuned for the scoop every single day. Shadows lurk in the data stream. Hacking our dreams break it all down. You ain't seen nothing yet. With every bug found, we take a stance. Join in the rhythm, give tech a chance. Welcome to the bot bite, we unveil the fight. In a world of software, we'll shine the light. From errors to dangers, we'll guide your way. Stay tuned for the scoop every single day. Hit the subscribe, don't miss out the fun. Together we'll conquer one bug at a run. Stay tuned for the scoop every single day. So hit that subscribe, don't miss out the fun. Together we'll conquer one bug at a run.